parents went on vacation last month, and they took pictures in a photo booth that combines two people's photos to show them what their baby would look like. Because my parents were curious what their baby would look like. They're telling me about this on the phone, they've got this banter going on, this Lucy and Ricky type thing that they do on the phone, and it's really sort of comforting. And they merged to their next vacation. They went on 2 vacations last month, because my parents are ballers. And this is strange to me, because we're not a vacation type of family. My mother asked me if I got the postcard from Mount Rushmore, and I say ruefully I did. She sent me a postcard from Mount Rushmore, and on the back it had one line, and it said, "Spending your inheritance!" Exclamation point. She signed it Cliff and Claire, which are not my parents' names. It's the names of the Huxtables. Because that's what me and my brothers started calling my parents when they became these ballers. I don't know who my parents are these days. A couple of years ago, they just started treating themselves and going on vacations. And now they know the names of of their favorite server in every restaurant in Baltimore. And we're a family. We used to, me and my brothers used to share a Happy Meal after Little League. And now they're going to Ocean Air and they're like, "Oh, I love Sandy, he always brings me the lobster." And I'm like, I don't know who these people are. Because there was just no money. We weren't poor, but that's what happens when you send 3 kids to private school. They sacrificed a lot. My mother put herself through grad school while she was working full-time as a school teacher, and eventually got her doctorate, paid for it herself. My father worked, I know, right? Give it up for my mom. My father worked 3 jobs. He would get up at 5 a.m. and deliver papers and then go to his other job and then work on his days off. All of this to send me and my brothers to these schools where our minds were expanded. They wanted to redraw the map for us in ways that maybe it wouldn't have been for us demographically. And I appreciate that. They had the dream that we'd be Huxtables before we had Huxtable money. And I guess maybe we did become Huxtables, although I became Denise, and that's kind of weird. That's another story. But they did take us on trips once a year where my dad got his bonus. We lived in downtown Baltimore, and they would take us to Towson, which is about 18 minutes outside of Baltimore, to the Embassy Suites. And let me tell you, it was the best trip. It was the best trip ever, because we didn't have Central Air, and we didn't have cable, and we didn't have a pool. So they had Central Air, they had cable, and they had a pool. And I'm telling you, I've never been on a greater vacation in my entire life. We felt like we were kings. And then, oh my goodness, they had this continental breakfast every morning. And this is before I started eating my emotions. So this is just good, clean fun. My brothers and I, we would walk up and we could make our own waffles. Do you know how amazing it is to make your own waffle? You feel like a billionaire. And then there's this dude who you tell him what you want in your omelet, and he makes it for you. You felt like Scrooge McDuck. We're like during the Carlton dance from Fresh Prince. We're ecstatic. It was stunning for us. 18 minutes from our house. We would get the chance to go on a lot of trips. My brother went to Vienna with his course in his school, and my school took me whale watching in Provincetown, and we went stream walking, and I've seen a lot of things because of the sacrifices my parents made. But the Embassy Suites was probably the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And every year, we went the same weekend every year, and every year there was also a Star Trek convention at the hotel at the same time. I swear I'm telling the truth. And this was awesome for me because I was a little bit of a nerd. And so, there was a fire drill one night, and so it's just me and my little brothers in our pajamas, and a drunken bride, and some sleepy businessmen, and then Klingons. And it was the best thing ever. And if you haven't had this experience, I highly recommend it. And so thinking about these things, and thinking about this, as my parents are telling me about their latest trips. They went hang gliding in Honduras, I believe, and then they took pictures of buffalo in the Great Plains. And then my father, they've got this banter thing going. It's so great to have sitcom parents. If you don't have sitcom parents, I recommend them. My father starts the joke. He's like, "Oh yeah, we saw lots of prairie dogs." My mother's like, "There was one that tried to get in our car. But we didn't let it. Because prairie dogs have the plague." And that's apparently something she saw on the Discovery Channel that may or may not be true. The next day, my mother sends me dozens of photos out of the thousands that she's taken. She takes photos compulsively. They're all gorgeous, and she puts them in these scrapbooks, which are a heritage for me, an inheritance, a map. My parents sent me a postcard that said, "We're spending your inheritance." But that's just what was written on it. What it really said was, "Look how far we've come." Thank you.